So, today's topic is an important one in light of the events of the past week. We need to talk about free speech, what free speech actually is, and discuss what it's not. Okay? While in this country you have the right to say most anything, some things are not covered. If you threaten someone, that's not free speech. That that's a threat of bodily violence. Also, there's a person named Hassan Piker who called for the unaliving of all Republicans on his podcast Saturday. And he actually said that Charlie Kirk's unaliving wasn't gruesome enough, that he should have been slit open and gutted like a pig. And he called upon his 8 million followers to go and do that to every Republican. That there's no room for conservatives in America. That's not free speech. That's basically considered a terroristic threat. So let me use an example. There's been a lot going on the past couple of days of people going on social media and cheering the death of Charlie Kirk. Well, I think that is insane to cheer someone's death. Let me use an analogy that I came up with. Hey, Jadis. So let's say you work for a company, and tomorrow morning you're going to sign a multi-million-dollar corporation or contract. Hey, M21. And you go on the internet tonight and spout how happy you are about Charlie Kirk's unaliving, and you're just giddy and dancing, and you go to the contract signing in the morning, and the client shows up and shows your boss the video and says, cancel the contract. This is because you, even though you have a free speech right to your opinion, are going to get fired. And you're not getting fired for your speech. You're getting fired for what's called toxic to the corporate brand, because you cost the company millions of dollars. And, these people are going on afterwards saying that, they have free speech and they have a right to say whatever they want, and they shouldn't fire them over free speech. And it's like, wake up. You weren't fired because of your free speech right. You were fired because the client, who unbeknownst to you was a Charlie Kirk supporter, canceled a multi-million-dollar contract because of your actions. And you can try and jump up and down and say it's free speech, but when you come right down to it, what you did was reprehensible. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. If you cheer someone's unaliving, you got problems. You got serious problems because you should not be happy that someone was unalived in front of their little kids. His little kids were in that tent with him. Think about that. His wife and kids were there in the tent with him. This is not okay. You know, what have we come to in this country where we think that people should be unalived because of words? Because you don't like what they said. You don't, yeah, you don't like what they said. So you think that you can just go unalive them because of something they said? Think about that for a minute, people. The Dems have been doing that to us for 10 years. Is right. So now they're playing the victim saying, oh, feel sorry for me. It's like there are consequences to everybody's action, good or bad. And just because we were nice and turned the other cheek and, just said, well, they're not all like that. Right. You're right, Greg. And you're right, Theoden. I have said that we need to stop. And what's just come out today is that there's proof that this was planned well in advance. There's a guy on the Discord that talked about Charlie's unaliving on September the 3rd. On September the 3rd. Right, that's another thing. 24 hours before Charlie was unalived, there was a book that went live on Amazon. The title was The Assassination of Charlie Kirk. Right. You're right, Greg. And Charlie would not want us to be divided amongst each other. I used this example on X the other day. I watched Charlie last week. This happened right before he was unalived. He was at the college, and a trans person came up to ask him questions. And before Charlie said much of anything, the person said, hi, I'm trans, I'm male, transitioning to female, and I know you hate me. You know what Charlie told him? He said, no, I don't hate you. I don't hate anyone. Jesus teaches us to love everyone. Then they got into a discussion, and Charlie said, I want to ask you a question. Or he said, may I ask you a question? And a person said, sure. Charlie said, "I'd like to pray for you." Then, then he said, "Do you want to know what I'm going to pray for you for?" And the trans person said, "You're probably going to pray for me to run the trans lifestyle and hate everyone trans." Charlie looked him right in the eye and said, "No." He said, "Are you taking medications yet?" And he said, "No." And Charlie said, "Don't. And I'm going to explain why." He said, "Because this type of decision is an important, life altering decision that you need to make with a clear mental head. So I'm going to pray that you get a good counselor and that you make this decision from a point of mental clarity." That person went on X on Friday morning and said, "Charlie, I love you. Thank you, Charlie. I'm walking away from the trans lifestyle." Charlie got through to him. Charlie showed him compassion and love. He did not once be hateful in that whole conversation. You know, I have an aide that comes in and helps me out, and she was here on Friday, and this affected her. She's a moderate Democrat. She said, "I may not agree with Trump. I may not agree with everything that Charlie says, but what they did to him is unacceptable." She said, "It's unacceptable. You don't cancel someone out for what they think or what they say." As of about an hour ago, the current applications for new chapters at TPUSA is 44,000. Before Charlie was unalived, they had 900 existing chapters. Think about that. They had 900 existing college chapters. They currently have 44,000 applications for new chapters. That means that there will be a chapter in every college in America. There are 30, I think it's 32,000, no, there are 6,600 colleges in America, and there's 28 or 29,000 high schools. You know, well, I feel for Charlie's wife and his family. Charlie's vision is gonna happen, and his vision was to take his message to the entire world. I know this has been a little bit longer than what we usually do. We usually do 10 minutes, but I felt it was important to talk about this stuff and let people know that while they have the right of free speech, there's certain things that are not covered under free speech. You know, threats of bodily harm or violence are not considered free speech, and you're always accountable for your actions on either side of the aisle. You're always accountable. So that's what I got for y'all today. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again later today. Bye for now.